The fact that you clicked this video already sets you apart. It shows you're questioning what everyone else accepts as normal. It shows you're not content following rules that don't make sense. You're curious about how the world really works, and that curiosity could change everything. You've probably felt it before. That quiet frustration deep inside. You see someone you know, not that smart, not that deep, living the life you dream of. They drive the car you want. They travel while you struggle. And it hurts, because you know you're not lazy. You've worked hard, you've studied, you've played by the rules. Yet somehow, they keep winning. Why? Because the world doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards strategy. The system isn't fair. It's rigged for those who know how to play it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How people you think are dumber than you rise faster. How they use Machiavellian psychology, whether they know it or not, to win the game of life. This video will break it all down into 4 chapters: speed, action, perception, and power. By the end, you'll see why smart people often stay stuck and how to flip the script. So stay focused, because what you're about to learn might just change how you see success forever. Most people grow up believing intelligence guarantees success. Get good grades, work hard, be honest, and success will follow. But that's a myth. The truth is, the world doesn't pay for what you know. It pays for what you do. The so-called dumb rich figured this out long ago. They don't waste time seeking perfection. They seek power. They act fast, break rules, and position themselves where results happen. Meanwhile, the intelligent ones overthink every move. They chase approval. They drown in information but starve in action. And that's where the imbalance begins. The difference between smart people and strategic people is simple. Smart people seek logic. Strategic people seek leverage. The intelligent man studies the chessboard. The Machiavellian man plays it. One wants to be right. The other wants to rule. Think about this. You've seen someone who talks nonsense but still commands attention. Why? Because they understand people, not just problems. They know emotions move faster than logic, and power is built on perception, not intelligence. Here's the secret. Wealth doesn't follow intelligence, it follows influence. A man who can move emotions will always control those who only move ideas. People don't buy facts, they buy feelings. They don't follow truth, they follow energy. That's why the confident fool often outshines the cautious genius. Look at Mark. Average IQ, no college degree, but he mastered attention. While his smarter friends debated theories, he built presence online. He didn't sell information, he sold belief, confidence, excitement, belonging, and while they waited for validation, he monetized visibility. Now he earns more in a week than they do in a year. Not because he's smarter, because he's strategic. The game isn't about knowledge anymore, it's about execution. You don't win by thinking harder, you win by moving faster. As Machiavelli would whisper, it is not the wise who rule, but the bold. So the next time you see someone less capable getting ahead, stop judging, start studying. Ask yourself, how do they make people feel? Because behind every lucky success story lies a hidden skill, the ability to influence perception. And that's where true power begins. Speed is the currency of the modern world, not perfection, not patience, speed. Because while the intelligent ones are still thinking, the bold ones are already moving. They make mistakes publicly, but they also learn publicly. And that feedback loop builds power faster than flawless plans ever could. The perfectionist waits for the perfect moment. The strategist creates it. They launch messy. They adapt in motion. They treat failure like data, not disaster. That's why Machiavelli said, "He who hesitates is already conquered." Every second you spend analyzing, someone else is already monetizing. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone release something half-baked, a basic course, a cheap product, a simple idea, and yet it goes viral, while your perfect version never leaves your notes? That sting you feel when someone wins with your idea, that's the cost of hesitation. Speed beats perfection every time, because reality rewards the ones who show up, not the ones who think about showing up. But speed alone isn't power, it's what comes with it, perception. Because in a world built on attention, what people believe about you matters more than what's true. The so-called dumb rich understand this perfectly. They don't wait for credibility. They manufacture it. They know that when you act confidently and consistently, people assume you know what you're doing. Confidence becomes competence through repetition, not proof. They post, they pitch, They move, and while others are asking, are they legit? They're cashing checks. People confuse visibility with value. If they see you often enough, they start believing you must be winning. That's why perception is a form of leverage. It multiplies your influence without multiplying your effort. Remember this rule. Motion equals momentum. Momentum equals power. Power creates perception. It's a loop, and the faster you move, the stronger it grows. Let me give you a story. Adrian was a genius coder. Brilliant, meticulous, obsessed with perfection. He built the most flawless product anyone had seen, but he wanted everything just right. He delayed, tweaked, and refined for years. Meanwhile, a man named Leo copied half of Adrian's idea, made a rough version, and launched it immediately. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't deep, but it was visible. And visibility became credibility. Guess who became the millionaire? Not the genius, the mover. The world doesn't pay for perfection, it pays for presence. Once you're in the market, you can improve. But if you're still thinking, you don't exist. That's why the rich don't wait for permission. They act, they learn, they adapt. They understand that perfection is the enemy of progress, and invisibility is the enemy of wealth. So stop hiding behind preparation. Start collecting feedback from motion. Let your mistakes teach you faster than theory ever could. Because in the end, the crowd doesn't remember who planned best. They remember who moved first. And in a world obsessed with speed, those who move fast don't just win, they define the race. Everyone talks about speed. Few understand patience. Patience isn't waiting. It's strategic timing. It's silence with intent. It's holding the arrow steady until the target walks closer. The dumb rich act fast, yes, but they also know when to pause. They sprint when opportunity opens, and they freeze when emotion rises, because power isn't built by constant motion. It's built by controlled movement. Smart people rush when they panic. Strategic people calculate when to strike. That's realpatience.com amid temptation. Most lose because they confuse activity with progress. They chase too many things, stretch too thin, and mistake noise for momentum. The powerful play fewer games, but they play them deeper. They don't need constant wins. They need position. And when the timing's right, one decisive move makes up for 100 impulsive ones. That's why leverage matters. Leverage is how you multiply your patience. It's what allows one smart move to equal 10 years of grinding. It's the difference between working hard and working heavy. The intelligent man does the work himself. The Machiavellian man builds systems, hires leverage, and disappears. Leverage is money working when you don't. It's people following your direction when you're silent. It's influence doing the talking while you rest. That's how the rich scale their time. They trade effort for control. They replace muscle with mechanism. And once you build leverage, patience becomes easy, because now, time is your ally, not your enemy. You're no longer racing against the clock. You own it. Then comes the third layer, substitution. This is where true power hides. The ability to replace, not chase. To never beg for one door, because you've quietly built 3 others. The average person gets blocked and breaks down. The Machiavellian smiles and substitutes. One business model dies, they shift. One contact ghosts, they replace. One opportunity collapses, they pivot. They don't attach emotion to outcomes, they attach strategy to options. Substitution is emotional detachment disguised as flexibility. It keeps you dangerous. Because when nothing is irreplaceable, nothing controls you. That's the quiet code of power. Move fast when others freeze. Wait calmly when others panic. Build leverage that multiplies your patience. And always have a substitute ready before you need one. Because power isn't just about winning. It's about never being cornered. The rich don't need to win every battle. They just make sure the war never ends. And when you learn to wait like a hunter, strike like a weapon, and rebuild like an architect, you stop playing the game, you start designing it. Strategy alone won't make you untouchable. Discipline does. The people you think are dumb but rich didn't get lucky. They built systems around their emotions. They trained themselves to act when others react. Emotions are the silent chains of intelligence. Smart people know what to do, but feelings freeze them. Fear, doubt, frustration, all invisible obstacles. The elite act, regardless. They detach. They treat emotion like weather. Notice it. Don't follow it. Emotional control is your invisible armor. The moment you let feelings dictate action, you become a pawn. The market, the people, the game, they all see it and exploit it. Look at traders who blow accounts chasing losses. Brilliant analysts, but emotionally reactive. Now look at the average player following rules.com/detached. They survive, they win. Next comes reputation. It's not ego, it's currency. The rich don't protect their pride, they protect their image. Control the story, and you control the opportunities. Mistakes, spin them first. Success, amplify it relentlessly. Weakness is only real if you let others define it. Strategic humility and selective power are their tools. Appear harmless when it benefits you. Appear formidable when it counts. Visibility is the final piece. Not all moves must be seen. Show just enough to stay relevant. Hide the process that makes you unstoppable. Mystery multiplies influence. Silence is never absence, it's anticipation. Combine emotional control, reputation, and controlled visibility, and you achieve the transformation arc. You stop reacting. You start designing outcomes. You move from participant to architect. You shift from chasing fairness to creating advantage. You stop competing. You start controlling categories. You go from being on the board to being the one who designs it. But here's the final truth. Even power isn't permanent. The game that made you rich won't keep you rich. Adaptation is the only survival. The elite evolve constantly, silently, invisibly. They disappear. They rebuild. They return sharper, richer, more untouchable. Every empire falls if its leader rests on past victories. Now, imagine yourself after this transformation. You're no longer just smart, you're dangerously effective. You see patterns others miss. You act where others hesitate. You shape belief instead of following it. You are untouchable. Now you know the truth. Intelligence alone doesn't create wealth. Strategy, speed, perception, patience, leverage, substitution, and emotional control do. You've seen why dumber people keep winning. They act fast, they build systems, they manage perception, they create advantage silently, strategically, and relentlessly. You've learned how the rich think differently, how they move without emotion, how they position instead of waiting, how they use patience, leverage, and substitution to turn small actions into unstoppable momentum. You've discovered the transformation arc, the shift from reactive thinker to deliberate architect, from being part of the system to shaping it, from chasing fairness to creating power. Now it's your turn. Stop overthinking, start acting, observe, adapt, leverage, control, because the world doesn't reward who deserves it. It rewards who positions themselves to win. If you want to take your understanding further, dive into attention mastery, influence, and modern power. That's the final layer that separates temporary winners from true elites. So here's the deal. Like this video if it gave you clarity. Subscribe to Psychology Insights for more strategies on power, influence, and human behavior. Share it with someone stuck in overthinking. They need this more than you think. Remember, it's not about being the smartest in the room. It's about being the one who owns the room. Move fast, stay strategic, and always control the game. The choice is yours. Will you be the thinker or the strategist?